What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Gaming Without Parole. Sitting to my right, sitting across from me, sitting next to me, as always, is Dezrah.
And sitting across from you, of course, is Brian Paul.
Hey.
I remembered my line.
We're starting off on a bad foot. Starting off with
I
two
never
left feet.
remember my lines.
No, it's quite all right. Let's get the housekeeping out of the way real quick.
Okay. Get some pledge.
I mean, dude,
we could
there
use
is
some
no
dusting.
cleaning this house. Even the green screen's dirty. Ugh. So, housekeeping.
Housekeeping.
If you haven't subscribed to our channel,
Housekeeping.
push that little red button down below, youtube.com/withoutparolegames, hit subscribe. If you want to support us on Patreon, patreon.com/withoutparolegames. That's all the housekeeping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A theme for today is, if you like stuff, support it.
That is a great theme.
Yes.
Oh, hey.
Hello.
I like that theme because then they'll support us if they like us.
Yes.
Nobody likes us.
But that's okay.
Okay. You know who does like us?
Who's that?
Jesse Benson.
Jesse Benson.
Jesse
I love
Benson.
that guy.
Seriously, that guy supported us. He supports us on Patreon, and
Or girl? Jesse?
guy.
Okay.
Supports us on Patreon, but more importantly, he sent us 2 different video game true or false lists over on the Midnight Gamescast.
That's a lot of work.
So we've been promising him for months that we we're going to do something cool for him. He asked us to sign something for him and send it to him. He thinks we're famous. It's weird.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
I mean, you can sign whatever you want, but I don't know if you can send it to him.
Oh, I can.
So over on the Gamescast, which of course the scheduling of these shows is way off, so this won't appear for a month after we send it.
There's another podcast?
Shh. Don't say anything.
What?
So...
You said I was special!
Oh, you're special. So we're going to ask you to sign this, and that way every member
absolutely.
of Without Parole Games will have signed it.
All right, and Jesse will be like, who is this Dez guy?
Yeah, I don't know if he watches
All right.
this.
We're going to... No. Just so many choices.
There are a lot of
I
choices.
took all the big white space there. So
Yeah.
I'm going to be that guy.
You're not going to sign the bottom, are you?
No, that's right.
Can you sign the inside? Is that possible?
That would be even worse, because then all his coffee would taste like Sharpie.
He better not be drinking out of this thing. I mean, I'm assuming it causes cancer anyway.
All
With
right.
or without the names.
So I've taken way too much time trying to figure this out, so I'm just going to be really evil.
Oh, wow. All right, just don't touch it until it dries. I think you knew that already. Probably didn't need my help with that. I can't vamp very well. I've already run out of things to talk about. Copyright check. Are you writing like a little novel on that? A novella? Ah, right on. I approve.
Okay.
Ding. So yeah, this will probably already be in your hands, Jesse, by the time you see this, which is pretty cool. No, because we hopefully in the future we'll have more mugs to sign.
Yes.
So if you want to send us your own list of video game true or false questions, which we highly endorse because none of us want to do it, make sure you send that to us over at facebook.com/withoutparolegames. Also, like that page and send us your questions. If you send us 2 lists, the rule is we're going to have to sign a mug for you and send it off.
That's a lot of mugs.
That's a lot of lists.
Maybe.
That's all right. I'll gladly
That's
pay
worth
for the
it. Yeah,
mugs
that's
to not do the list. All right, let's get back on topic. Since everyone but Jesse Benson has already tuned out.
Do we have a topic?
We do.
Oh, crap. Okay.
What are we talking about this week, Des?
We're talking about puzzle games.
Oh, no. That's our topic?
Well, yes. One of my favorite genres.
Oh, not mine.
No?
Well, okay. I'm avoiding puzzle platformers on this list because I hate puzzle platformers. If you've ever seen me do a podcast before, I avoid puzzle platformers like the plague because they take one of my favorite genres of all time, light gun shooters. Oh, shit. I mean, platformers.
The light gun shooter puzzle platformer coming to... No.
Insanity. But they take one of my favorite genres, the platformer, and they ruin it with a bunch of puzzles. I just want to jump around like Mario, and instead I'm jumping around like Braid.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. There's room for intelligent people to disagree, and stupid people to disagree.
I'm not sure which camp I fall into.
Yeah.
Do you want to take us away with the first game, Dezrah?
Yes. So I'm going to talk about a game that is... So, I'm just going to... All right. I'm going to start this over again. I'm going to talk about one of my favorite games, and I'm going to talk about a game that goes on a device that we don't really talk about too much on this podcast. It's
the N-Gage.
The N-Gage. No, we talk about that a lot.
We really do.
But it is a mobile game. It's a game called Monument Valley. Came out in 2014 for iOS and Android, and 2015 for Windows Phone. Monument Valley is a isometric puzzle. Well, not quite a platformer. It is a puzzle game. It is, yeah. And that right there will show you one of the things I love about this game. It is one of the most gorgeous games, not just mobile games, one of the most gorgeous games I've ever played. I'm a huge fan of optical illusions and specifically impossible objects. If you've ever seen, like, the triangle, that's kind of three pieces, but I'm not here.
Oh, no.
Right, no.
What did you just make me do?
Or like, a lot of Escher's paintings where you have the endless staircase,
Yeah.
It actually keeps going up. The worlds that your character, named Princess Ida, has to go through are made of these impossible objects. And what you have to do is kind of look at it and flip your perspective so you can move pieces around in ways that kind of make sense for the world. It's difficult to explain, but it's very easy to play. What I find so great about this game is you're controlling, it's not like there's text telling you how to move around. It's very intuitive. There are these crows that are sort of the enemies, and the combination of crows and colors actually guide your character and kind of what you should be doing at any given time. It's not a particularly long game, and it's really not a particularly difficult puzzle game. Once you kind of figure out the mechanic of each level, then it's just a matter of applying that sort of over and over again.
Sure.
But what it lacks in kind of length of time makes up for in just beauty.
I had to look this up just now because I know what Monument Valley is, but I swore that I played this on PlayStation 3, and apparently I did not.
No, okay.
Because just all the platforms you just listed is what it listed on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
I'm confused because I know I played this somewhere, and I don't play things like this on my phone. So maybe I played it on my phone, and I don't know what I'm talking about.
Could be. I don't know.
But let me say this about that.
Yes.
When did this come out? Like 2014, 2015?
Yes.
Yeah. Remember Echochrome?
It's very much, it owes a lot to Echochrome. Absolutely.
Why'd I do that? Yeah, because PSP and PS3 Echochrome, like, it's even more MC Escher styled puzzles.
Absolutely. And Echochrome is deliberately going after MC Escher. In fact, the character you're moving around is one of the artist dummies, or what it has a specific name, which I can't remember right now because I'm not an artist. But it is absolutely a nod to Escher, and this game owes a lot to that. And they're very open about that. One of the things I find really fascinating about this game is it comes from Us2, which is not really known as a developer of games. They've made a few mobile apps. One called Whale Trail, another design app called Granimator, a photo sharing app called Rando. They're basic, and really nicely designed mobile apps, but not really games.
Yeah.
And when they decided, there was an artist on Ken Wong, one of their artists, who had all these kind of sketches and ideas. They said, we like this, we want to make this a game. You're not going to have a budget, you're not going to have a schedule, just make something good.
Let us know when it's ready.
Yeah.
Is it Us2? Is that what you said?
Us2, yeah. Who does that ever? And that's their thing. It's like they basically took the statement, we don't make games, they're not a big profit center for us. We just want to demonstrate what we can do as a company and how great our staff are, so this is what we're going to do. One of Ken Wong's ideas was he wanted every frame should be worthy of public display. Oh. And as you play the game, you get that. And one of the things that, you may read some reviews that say, oh, it's too easy, it's too short. But I think the idea is it's not necessarily all about the puzzles, it's just this experience. And there's this kind of creepy, very vague storyline to it. It's hard to really nail it. It's not quite a movie, it's not quite a game. It's this really interesting experience. So
you're just trying to take it all in as you're solving these maybe not the hardest puzzles of all time.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good way to put it. One other thing that I found very interesting and kind of bothersome. So here's this awesome story. It's like this developer said, hey, we have someone who has some great ideas. Mm-hmm. We don't normally make games, but we believe in what these folks want to do, so we're going to just give them as much money and time as they need to make something beautiful. And it ended up paying out $26 million. As of May 2016, there were 26 million copies of this sold, or at least out in the wild. Here's the disturbing part. 90% of the Android installs and 60% I'm sorry, 95% of the Android installs and 60% of the iOS installs were unpaid. They were pirated copies.
We're coming for you.
And
watch your back.
Here's the thing: Us Too said, well, you know what? It's not a big profit center for us, anyways. So we're going to keep developing expansions. They even tied in. There was a red version. So if you have an Apple product, a lot of times they'll do red versions of apps that are fundraisers for, I think, breast cancer.
Oh yeah.
So Us Too even made a version of that for that, and they kept developing this, even though they were getting royally screwed by us gamers. So this is kind of my soapbox moment. Like, this is a beautiful, amazing, off the cuff, from out from left field game. If you like this kind of thing, please support it.
Yeah.
Okay. One other kind of interesting thing. Ever heard of the TV show House of Cards?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay. So
Kevin Spacey, right?
Yes. Yeah. I just love like everything about this. So Frank Underwood, Kevin Spacey's character, got into Monument Valley. And it's actually a very minor plot point. And basically there was a reviewer of the game that he read the review, said, I like him, and ended up hiring him on as a speechwriter. But here's the thing. Us Too, the developer, was such a fan of the show and said, you know what, not only are we not going to charge you for licensing to use this, we're going to make a special version of the app so he can sit there playing it that will look good on screen. So they actually rewrote the game just so Underwood could play it on screen and have it look good.
That's pretty awesome. I'm wondering if any of their success was because of House of Cards.
They did see a boost after that, but they would already, been a massive hit before that. So
right on.
So
I love success stories.
Yes. Yeah.
My story.
Your story.
My game.
Your game.
Also a success story.
Yay! Everybody's happy.
That's right.
Except pirates.
No, they're thrilled. They're not paying for anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Karma.
No.
Karma. She's a stripper. I gotta pay her. She's still waiting in the car. Poor Karma.
That's not how strippers work.
Is that not how it works?
I think you get someone else.
Worcester. Yeah, right. Not the cream of the crop when it comes to. You know what? Moving on. In 2016, a little game called The Witness came out for PlayStation 4,
yes.
and then later Xbox One. This was just, such a monumental, pun intended, undertaking by the creator Jonathan Blow. Now, if you don't know who Jonathan Blow is, he's the guy who made Braid. And Braid is one of the first big successes on the Xbox Live Arcade store, along with Limbo. These were kind of like the early two proof of concept games that say, hey, digital download, this is possibly a thing. This
absolutely.
is and they had to be smaller games back then. So what happened was that Braid made so much money.
If you talk about amount of cost to make the game versus amount it made, it was
ridiculous. So that was let me see here. 2008 is when Braid came out.
Wow, was that long ago?
It's that long ago. That was pretty early days,
so
right?
Old.
Of downloadable games.
Yeah.
So Jonathan Blow made all this money. I'm assuming there weren't too many creators on the project.
No, I don't believe so. No.
And so what happened is as soon as Braid was done and the money started coming in, they started the second project, and it's called The Witness. Now, unlike a lot of other video games, there was no Kickstarter campaign, there was no fundraising, there was no publishing company that's taking all the risk. Jonathan Blow took all the money that he made from Braid
and just put it into
and just kept pouring it back in, and he basically took all the money and poured it back in.
Right.
And it took them. Let's see. They announced the game in 2009. It was supposed to be a PlayStation 4 launch title,
right?
And it didn't come out until this year, or last year, 2016.
Wow.
So basically, this is another story similar to Monument Valley, where Jonathan Blow and his small team, they were like, you know what?
It's not ready yet.
We'll put it out when it's ready. We're gonna work on it. There's no budget. We're just gonna work on it until it's done, and that's the end of the story. Well, it's not the end of the story because then The Witness came out. Now,
like a fanfare audio.
This is it's just an amazing experience, and I got to say, you start off The Witness, and you're in this little cell-shaded looking garden. Everything is just like brightly colored, and there's these beautiful shadows, and see, the whole thing's like that, and it's first person. It kind of it reminds me of Myst. If Myst was better looking and moved at 60 frames a second, fluid and stuff.
Yeah, it used to move at 1 frame an hour.
Right, didn't you just click and it went? Poof.
Yeah,
or the full motion video interludes. Right. So this was inspired by Myst.
Okay.
So you walk up to the very first puzzle, and it's like just this plate against a wall. And what you do is you start this line, and you draw it through a maze, and you get to the end. Like, there's no way to fail the first puzzle. And you're like, okay, so I just drew a line from the start to the end. And then the next puzzle you have, it's very, very similar. And you're like, there's no way to fail any of these. Sometimes there's dots that you have to hit along your way to the end of the puzzle.
Okay.
All of the puzzles for a very long time, like every time you solve one of these, like it turns on the power over here, it opens that door over here, or that's all you're doing is like solving these little puzzles. And you're like, man, it seems so dumb to have this big, beautiful open world. And what it is an open world. It takes place on an entire island.
Okay.
And you can run from one end to the other for the most part. Except you don't want to do that because it's sort of divided up into sections where each section teaches you a new part of the language you need to learn to solve each of these puzzles.
Oh.
So you'll start seeing little shapes or different colors of shapes. And that means you have to group those things together, or if one's this color and one's that, then you have to draw the line.
Interesting.
But it's all the same. You're just drawing a line from the beginning to the end, and somehow this becomes the most complicated thing on the face of the planet. It started to rewire my brain at one point where I was sleeping and I was seeing pictures of shapes and colors and trying to figure out. I think I solved a puzzle in my sleep one time. It was pretty amazing.
Wow.
And it's like, it doesn't let you cheat. It doesn't like you, like, if you go online, you're like, how do you solve this puzzle?
Yeah.
Well, then you didn't learn what you just needed to learn during that puzzle, so you're not going to be able to solve the next puzzle. It never, It never tells you what you're learning. You have to do trial and error until you're like, well, what does this mean? Well, maybe if I do this, will that work now? And once you figure out a solution, then you have to figure out why that solution worked. And then it becomes part of your vernacular. And then you go forward, and it's just the most insane thing ever. And I don't know if this is spoilers to say this. So if you haven't played The Witness, tune out for like 10 seconds.
Are we done?
No. I'm telling you this.
Okay.
And you're going to have to deal with it. Okay.
I don't have PS4 anyways.
At a certain point, you look out into the world. You're like looking down from like this balcony or something, and you're looking down and you're looking at this rock garden, and you sort of see something, and you're like, is that
Sonic?
Is that a line puzzle in the garden? And then you hit the button, and like there it is. Like your little cursor comes up, and like you start finding these line puzzles, not just on the plates, but everywhere in the world.
Oh.
And it just becomes this transcendent thing where you're like, oh man, I've been standing inside of puzzles. This world, this.
It's like that hallway I just walked down was part of a.
Right.
Wow,
cool. It gets bigger and crazier, and like just it's like a crazy acid trip. The more you play, the crazier it gets, and it's.
Was Will Shortz involved in this at all?
I don't know who that is.
Okay.
Who is that?
Will Shortz is the editor of the New York Times Daily Crossword. He's also well known for.
Oh, basically, I know who you're talking about.
If you have someone who's in your life who's addicted to Sudoku, it's Will Shortz's fault.
Oh.
Yeah.
Damn it.
He didn't invent Sudoku, but he brought it over here.
I lost 2 years of my life to that game.
Yeah.
Well,
The man we hate to love. Love to hate.
If you want to learn more about Jonathan Braid, this
Jonathan Blow?
Yes. Jonathan Braid.
It did rewire his brain, folks.
Damn it. Not for the better. Indie Game, the documentary on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
A big part of that is about him and his success with Braid, and while he's working on The Witness, but it's certainly not out by the time the documentary came out. Check that out on Netflix. He's a fascinating person.
Yeah.
I think he's the smartest person I've ever seen in the video game industry. And to create a game like this, it's also digital only, and when it came out it's $40, and I have an issue with that because if you're going to make something that's $40, I need a retail copy of it. I'm just I'm that kind of gamer. I'm that kind of shopper.
Okay.
I'm that kind of collector. I wanted to have a plastic thing on my shelf that I could just put there.
I can see that.
But I bought it, and I don't regret it. I didn't beat it, It was too much. At a certain point, I was like, I just can't.
Yeah.
I can't figure out why this puzzle's not working, and I just had to put it down to move forward with the rest of my life. But Jonathan Blow, I salute you. Epic game. Almost life-changing.
Nice. All right.
Time to move on.
Yeah. That's fantastic. A game I'm going to talk about next. I'm kind of torn. I have two choices. One's going to be my one I want to talk about for a while. The other one's going to be my, sort of add-on, honorable mention game.
Sure.
But these are two games that I really like for two very different reasons. So I guess I'll just bite the bullet. I'm going to go with 1995's Tetris Attack.
Pokemon Puzzle League.
That too. Also, Parole. So this is the game that's been, at least three different games, at least, I should say, because there's been other versions of this for the Nintendo platform. The original was Parole. It was, at its core, it's a match 3 type game. You've played tons of these, Bejeweled, whatever, have ripped off this kind of idea. That isn't breathtakingly original or anything like that. What makes Tetris Attack and Parole unique and fun, and basically was the basis of one of my relationships with my ex-girlfriend at the time. It was pretty much this is what we did with our free time. Was play Tetris Attack, so there's my life. Yeah.
No comment.
Yep. Anyways, so like with all these puzzles, you match the shapes, they disappear, blocks fall down from the ceiling. You time it right, you get combos of more than one, more than 3 blocks, 4, 5, 6 blocks. Yeah. You can get chains from this block falling in here. You played this game before. What's awesome, you make that awesome chain, you make that great combo, and you dump all these garbage blocks to your opponent's side. So it's not just you playing as fast as you can to solve it, it's also trying to screw the person next to you who's trying to do that to you, and vice versa. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful, it's shiny colors and bright lights and great sound design. It's a fantastic game. Like I said, the original came out in the Parole was in 94, I believe. I didn't write that down. Then
you said that was Japanese only, right?
That was Japanese only.
Okay.
You were a fairy named Lip. You were fighting the evil fairy lord Thanatos. But here's the thing. Actually, this was a little trivia bit that I found out. Who here has played a Super Smash Brothers Melee type game? Yeah. All right, the awesome brawlers, they've done a bunch of different versions. There's that one weird bonus weapon where you get it and you hit someone and a flower grows out of their head, and you hit them again, the flower gets bigger and bigger and bigger. That is from Parole. It is called Lip's Stick.
Huh.
Lipstick. Also, if you've played at least Smash Brothers Melee for the GameCube,
that's where I stopped.
And I think it's actually continuing on. When Kirby turns into a stone, it's a stone that doesn't really look like anything like any of the stones from the Kirby games. It's actually one of these garbage blocks from Parole. That's what he's turning into. So there's your trivia for today.
This was dropping knowledge on all of you right now.
What?
If you already knew that, comment below. I'm not going to believe a single one of you.
So yeah, basically they took Parole and did the Super Mario Brothers 2 treatment to it.
Yeah.
Ripped out all the original art, slapped on some new art from Super Mario World Yoshi's Island, which is a game we need to talk about at some point.
Oh, we will.
Oh my god.
Did we already talk about 2D platformers?
We did.
We screwed up.
No, I know.
Oh, stop that. No, that's why I don't like that game. It's good despite that.
Yeah, so they just kind of threw on the Yoshi's stickers and all that, and then 5 years later, it's like, you know what? This Pokemon thing is catching on.
Yeah.
Why don't we do this again? And so basically they took the same game, ripped off the art, threw on Pokemon stuff, added, I think, like one different type of play, and that was released in 2000 for the N64.
And this is where my entire knowledge of this game comes from, because I've played Pokemon Puzzle League extensively.
Yeah.
Some very cool modes in that. There's like some cool animation too. Like they packed a lot of crap into that cart.
Absolutely.
I really like that. But yeah, so I mean, tons of variations on the same theme. Craziness.
One last interesting bit is so why is it called Tetris Attack? It's not blocks of 4. It's nothing to do with Tetris theming and all that. It's basically because Nintendo cut a big old fat check to Tetris Incorporated.
Okay.
And then Hank Rogers, who is now the CEO of Tetris Incorporated, basically has said he's regretted that since day one.
Really?
One quote I got was, "It's like naming another character Mickey Mouse just because you need the money." Yeah, so he thinks it kind of diluted the Tetris brand, but
I think maybe Wordtris did that, and Hatris,
yeah,
and 3D-tris.
It's kind of closing the door after the horses have left the barn.
Wextris. I'm just making things up now. I think that might be one.
It probably is.
There's a lot of crap out there with the Tetris. We should do a whole show on Tetris clones.
No, we shouldn't. It'd be too sad.
Yeah,
sad.
You can rip through it in 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I don't know.
So Tetris Attack, if you've got a SNES kicking around, play it. Panel de Pon came out on the Wii Virtual Console, so you can actually play the original. It's interesting, they kept the original theming, but they just updated the graphics. So it's the same kind of pictures, same kind of characters, just prettier.
It's nice.
Yeah.
If you have an N64, play the coolest version, Pokemon Puzzle League.
Did we just say Pokemon's cool?
I think
my debut episode we talked about Pokemon being cool. So
was that our first episode?
Was it that or Tig at the
who knows?
If you know, leave a comment.
Yeah, whatever. Who cares? My next game.
Yes, who's got it? Oh my god! So at work today, I was trying to explain this game to Michelle because we were talking about what we're going to talk. What games we were going to talk about. I said, "Oh, Brian's talking about Catherine." She's like, "What's that?" Oh man.
It's hard to explain.
Yeah, I was going to say, go ahead.
Okay. So Catherine was a game that came out in 2011 for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360.
Actually, that sums it up.
Yep, pretty much.
That's it.
Basically, you play as this guy named Vincent Brooks, and he's dating a girl named Catherine with a K, Catherine McBride.
Wait, Brian, that says Catherine with a C.
It does indeed. And that girl on the front is not the girl he's dating. Basically, there's this little hussy who sneaks into his life. Boy, I just felt real old by saying hussy. And it's this girl named Catherine with a C. Now, as Vincent Brooks, let's be fair here. This is a game. It was made by Atlas, and we should all know that Atlas makes Persona games. Mm-hmm. There was not a Persona game on this generation of consoles. So when this game came out, we all thought, hey, they're testing out a new engine. This is what they're gonna, this is their experiment for this generation, like their first HD game. Here it is, Catherine.
Yeah.
Right? And so what you do as Vincent, you hang out in a bar called the Stray Sheep Bar.
Like you do. You
hang out with your friends, you have conversations, you choose who to talk to. It's all very Persona-like.
Sheep will come up again.
Well, it's very Persona-like because you're choosing who to talk to, what your responses are. It's got this morality meter bouncing up and down if you're doing the right thing and not. And you are constantly getting texts from Catherine with a K, and you get to choose some responses. Mm-hmm. You're also getting texts from Catherine with a C. You get to choose some responses. Now, I think this game says a lot about who you are the way you play it. Right? Vincent, the character, he's got a fear of commitment. I think a lot of guys have the same issue. A lot of times in the game, you're just like, screw this girl. I want to go talk to the hot girl who I'm not in a relationship with. And so, very often, you'll make bad decisions because you're kind of wrapped up in the game. But...
are there penalties for those bad decisions?
3 endings. You end up with one Catherine, the other Catherine, or all by yourself.
Or no Catherine.
The best ending. So... this isn't as much as I just talked about the game. So that's not the game.
Would that be the best ending if it was Charles with a K or Charles with no? Never mind. Never mind.
So you spend a lot of time in this bar. You spend a lot of time with your friends. You do all this stuff. Sometimes you choose how much to drink. Mm-hmm. Right? You choose when to go home. That kind of stuff. But the actual gameplay, the puzzle part of Catherine, comes when you go to sleep, and then you're in this nightmare mode. And that's actually what it's called, is nightmare mode, and it's truly a nightmare.
It's accurate. Oh, it's a creepy thing. Yeah.
There's lots of sheep people, and there's lots
Wake
of
up
walks.
Sheeple.
Sheeple. Yeah, I don't know. There's all these blocks, and you're basically trying to get from the bottom of the screen to the top of the screen. And there's all these blocks. You have to push them and pull them and move them and climb and not fall off.
Right.
And get to the top. It gets weirder and stranger than what I just described. There's a lot of crazy stuff happening. Sometimes there's crazy, huge bosses coming up after you that look like your girlfriend, which is real strange, like an evil, demonic version of Catherine. And they're climbing up after you, come back, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And you make some even more decisions about your life in nightmare mode. It's a very stressful game for multiple reasons.
You know, it is.
You're balancing relationships, and then the actual puzzle solving is... you are very limited on time. When the blocks fall, you're like, WTF, why did this happen? What was I supposed to do? And you yell a lot at your television. But you know what? Screw the whole game. Because this, right here, is the Love Is Over Deluxe Edition. Now, this is an early Amazon Prime
purchase. Oh my god,
purchase.
I love that.
Yep. Early Amazon Prime purchase. You open it up, and it seems like a regular cardboard box until you read it. And it's the Stray Sheep Special Delivery Pizza, hot, ready, delicious. It's a pizza box.
Oh my god.
So you open it up. Now, here's the thing. This was like $80 when it came out. Yeah, so I bought it. I don't know what I was thinking. It didn't get delivered on time. And so I emailed Amazon, and they refunded my entire purchase, and then it showed up the next day. So I get this
30 minutes and you get your pizza for free.
Apparently that's the case. So none of this is even really taken out of the wrapper, like, ever, because I'm a stupid collector.
You shouldn't be taking out the wrapper in front of me, because they may not stay in your apartment for very long.
I think these probably stay. These are...
oh my god!
The boxer shorts that Vincent wears in the game as he's in nightmare mode. We also have...
Alright, you can keep your Xbox 360 Special Edition versions with, like, the Master Chief mask. I want the spotted underwear.
We've got...
oh my god.
We've got an art book with some music on it, some seductive pictures of Vincent and both girls. I don't know if you want to do what you want to do with that. This here is a pillowcase with a sexy girl on it.
Okay, well, there's a line been crossed there. That's
Oh, this is where you cross the line. Vincent's boxer shorts.
Vincent's boxers are fine. The creepy pillow thing is kind of... oh, no way.
And then your life meter. Hearts. Empty. What a wonderful t-shirt.
Okay, so I'm kind of on record for a lot of these, like, collector's boxes are pretty much just a chance for them to, give you $10 worth of merchandise and charge you $100 for it. Yep. This is great because it's thematic. It's stuff from the game. It makes sense.
Yep. The art book's pretty glossy too. Very nice. So the deal is I never beat this game. It does get incredibly stressful.
Is it beatable? Because,
it's beatable, all right. Like I said, 3 different endings. The Catherine ending, and the Vincent ending. So it's all beatable. It's just extremely difficult. The funny thing is, this was a test for Atlas to make an HD, Persona game on the PlayStation 3 and 360.
Yep.
Persona 5's still not out.
No.
It's coming out in just a couple months, and I think only in Japan is it coming to PS3. It's coming to PS4 and Xbox One in just a few months. So, was this all pointless? No, because we got Catherine out of it.
Yeah, and this I've never played any of the Persona games, and I don't know if I'm going to.
What?
I know.
What?
I'm a bad geek.
What?
Bad geek.
Insanity.
Yeah.
We need to talk.
But this here, I only heard of this from someone else telling me this is the most insane game you've ever played. Okay, that you've got my attention, and it lives up to that. And it's funny you mentioned that's stressful.
Yeah.
I was like, I hadn't actually been able to place that word on it, but yeah, it's so stressful playing it, but not necessarily in a bad way. It's just you're basically, it does a great job of putting you in the emotional state of Vincent.
Mm-hmm. It sure does.
Yeah.
When you get a risque photograph texted to you while you're hanging out with your friends, and suddenly you have to go to the bathroom, to check it out away from your friends, you feel like you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
they did a great job with this game.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend it. My least favorite part of the game is the actual puzzle solving. I like just hanging out with your friends and making those kind of decisions. That's my favorite part, and it's worth getting through all the puzzles to see how it turns out.
See, I think I'm exactly on the opposite. So, all right, cool.
Right on. Moving on.
Does not commute. As you can see, we're at this nice. It's set in the 70s-ish kind of era. It's this neighborhood, and you start off in your little sedan, and basically you just have to drive to your destination. There's arrows pointing you where to go, and everything's fine. Your controllers are very simple. You don't control the speed of the car. All you have is left or right. You hit left or right, car turns left, car turns right. You navigate through the streets.
Easy.
Super easy.
Yep.
Then as soon as you get to your destination, time rewinds, and you're behind the wheel of a different car in the same neighborhood. And that car has to get it through its destination. Okay, not too bad. Then it rewinds. Then they add another car that has to go to its destination. And oh yeah, those 2 tracks that you already made with those other cars, those stay there.
So they're ghost cars, but they're real.
Exactly. And pretty soon you're in this situation where, I need to go down this street, but the school bus I was driving last turn is now coming right at me, so I have to... And pretty soon you're frantically going through it, and you have 60 seconds to do all of this.
Think of it like River Raid, except you are all the enemies.
Exactly right. And you can, so let's say you went through and, oh man, I hit that bus, or I need to take a different turn. You can rewind and do your thing over again, but it knocks a second off of your time.
Oh.
So being that you only have 60 seconds, and when you go from like level to level, you still have that same time. It doesn't reset to 60 seconds.
Every time you rewind, then suddenly the next level, 59 seconds.
Yeah.
Wow. I like this already.
Yeah, it's really, really beautifully done for a mobile game. And the other thing that just puts it over the edge, so the gameplay is unique. It's incredibly challenging, both strategically and basically getting the car to do what you want. Just the actual mechanics of controlling the car. I mean, no, not challenging as it's hard. Like there's no time where you're like, this stupid controller. It's it's a little bit of twitchy, a little bit of twitchiness. It's the tiny little stories that every time each car starts, you get a little bit of a line of dialogue or something telling you what's going on in that character. So one I had to steal to give you a flavor for the kind of text you'd be reading. So you get in your sedan, and this is one of the stories. The first thing you read: everyone thinks the man driving this car is Mr. Lee, but Mr. Lee is long gone. Lord knows who this man is, but he looks and talks like Mr. Lee, and that's good enough for most people. And later it talks about the man who is not Mr. Lee kisses Mr. Lee's wife and thinks Mr. Lee has a very nice life.
I like this.
Yeah, there's postal worker Patty is very efficient, which means she has time to visit Mr. Banks every day.
I really like this.
And then Mrs. Banks leaves her office early because she realized she forgot her key card. And the next one is Mr. Banks is... because of an incident, Mr. Banks is now going to the hospital.
Nice.
Yeah, it doesn't, spoon feed. There is a story that happens throughout the game, but you have to really kind of be paying attention, and it's just...
That's great. I like that. I like that brand of humor.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's free. You play it for 10 minutes, and if you're bored of it or it's not your thing, you're going to know right away. Don't waste any more time on it. If you end up loving it, throw them a couple shekels.
There you go. And finally, my honorable mention is the entire Professor Layton series.
That's cheating.
It's totally cheating.
We could have an entire episode on it. Yeah.
We could. But
in fact, next week...
And actually, what I'd love to have is a full episode on just Level 5. Because Level 5, since the beginning of time, in my book, has made some amazing games.
Yeah.
They make the Professor Layton games. They've also made White Knight Chronicles. They've made Rogue Galaxy, Dark Cloud 1 and 2. Please bring that back, by the way. Where is Dark Cloud 3? Please. Also, Ni no Kuni, which is getting a sequel. Ni no Kuni, of course, the best RPG from last generation. PlayStation 3 only. Unbelievable. Studio Ghibli teamed up with Bandai Namco, and they made one of the greatest RPGs of all time.
I've never played this.
It's phenomenal.
That's great.
PlayStation 3 only.
Oh, well, that's why.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, you already probably know everything you need to know about Professor Layton. It's got that awesome, unique level 5 cell shaded look to the drawings, the animation. The story's always cute and it's never too crazy. You play as Professor Layton and his little apprentice Luke, and you go through and you solve all these different puzzles. Most of the games were prequels to the very first one. I think the first one was Curious Village, and then most of the other ones were prequels. But in case you didn't know, it's 2017 now. Did you not know?
Oh, crap.
But in 2017, we're going to get Lady Layton, which is a follow-up. Professor Layton goes missing, and
Lady Layton has to find.
And daughter Kat has to go looking for Professor Dad.
Awesome.
So something to look forward to. I'm assuming 3DS.
Okay.
But the last iteration came out on, I believe, iOS and Android as well. So we may be seeing these on mobile platforms too.
A Switch launch title?
Oh, that would be pretty awesome.
Makes sense.
Oh.
Right? Small screen.
I might buy a Switch.
Yeah.
So those were some of the puzzle games that we really enjoy. Obviously, we like a lot more than that. And in
Solomon's Key. How did I forget Solomon's Key?
I don't know.
Okay, sorry.
Looks nice. So
okay?
We'll be back. Yeah. We'll be back to do this again because as we were going through titles, like I was crossing things off my list, going, I don't want to talk about that quite as much. So there's tons of other games we want to talk about. But what are your favorite puzzle games? Leave a comment down below. Because what are we going to talk about next week? We don't know. So let us know what you want us to talk about. We've already gotten some good suggestions. We want to hear from everybody, and we'll pick and choose the best.
Great suggestion. No, that sounds terrible.
Follow us on Instagram. Without Parole Games. Follow us on Facebook.
Yes.
Without Parole Games. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Without Parole Games. And send us a video game true or false list so you can get your own signed mug. Facebook.com/
Without Parole Games.
For Without Parole Games, I'm Brian Paul.
And I'm Dezrah.
We'll see you next week.